Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we're talking about the brand new and improved XGT 21-inch self-propelled mower from Makita. This one right here. In all the years that Makita's put into building battery-powered lawnmowers and all the different versions and generations, stuff that they have, you would think this has all the bells and whistles and is improved, especially for commercial quality, right? So that's exactly what we're here to find out. We're gonna figure out if it is improved, is the performance really there, and is the cost worth the value? So if that's what you want answered, stick with us. All right, so we're gonna go over some of the stuff really fast, especially since we're gonna be comparing it to the LXT XML08 mower. That's this one right here. The XML07 is the exact same mower, except without the self-propelled function. But this one is the XML08, and this one right here is the GML01, okay? So, first of all, looking at it on this side, you'll see the wheel designs are pretty much almost identical. They pretty much carried over all of that front. The LXT XML08 has the handle, the XGT mower does not. The head of the unit, as you can see where the powerhouse is, does look a little bit different. So they've made quite a little bit of changes there. The bar for the height adjustment and all that stuff looks like it's mainly maintained the same. And what generally looks like it's happening, they've kind of carried over the deck from one generation to the other, and that may be true, but there's a little bit of differences that are happening on this mower. As you can see from this angle right here, there is a handle on the back side of the XGT mower. On the right side, or on your right side, there is the LXT mower. It just doesn't have the plastic handle. It just has the metal bar going across, which is designed to also be a handle. All right, so bringing you up here with a closer look, let's take a look at some of the similarities, okay? So similarities is this battery bank design is cover is pretty much the same. The way you open it is you press this lever, you pull it up, and it falls down. As we mentioned in the original review of this mower, it stands like this, okay? And then because you're using 2 batteries at a time with this mower, you're going to be changing out a minimum of 2 batteries at a time, right? Assuming you didn't just put like 1 battery in there that had like 1 bar in it, right? So when you are changing out batteries, you're changing out a minimum of 2, and so you're carrying at least 2. You're going to have to put them down or somehow, you know, finesse them or hold them, right? And then you can use one arm to open it and then another arm to do this, right? You can kind of do this, right? Use the same arm to hold it and then change out the battery, but it starts to get, you know, challenging, especially when you're using this thing in the summer and it's hot, right? Because when you're cutting and stuff, it's gonna be like 98 and 100 plus degrees, and you're just like sweating, the batteries are getting hot and your hands are sweating, all things are slippery. So anything to hold this thing up obviously really helps. But anyways, I'm just complaining at nitpicking stuff, okay? So this one, like I said, takes 2 18-volt LXC batteries in series to operate. So this is a 36-volt mower, but the 2 batteries need to stay in series. So it has battery bank 1 and battery bank 2. This battery will not operate on one, or this mower will not operate on 1 battery. You have to have at least 2, okay? So when it the batteries are in there, you need to tell the mower which one to use. So right now, it should be on 1, so you can use 1. And then whenever that battery bank dies, you have to manually come over here, switch it to 2, and then you're good to go back in action, okay? That automatic switching function does not happen. You have to do it manually. It's a manual action. This is the key right here, just in case you wanted to, you know, prevent kids or something like that from turning the mower on. But like I said, it won't stay up. It's a little bit challenging, okay? So, moving on to the XGT mower here, it's the same type of design, but different shape, right? Doesn't stay up by itself. But as you can see here, I'm using this mower with 1 battery. This is an 8-amp-hour battery. We can talk about the battery life later. When I bought this mower as a kit, it came with 2 4-amp-hour batteries, which is way undersized for this mower, I would say. But you can buy this mower as a tool only, a kit with 2 4-amp-hour batteries or a kit with 2 8-amp-hour batteries. Obviously, if you have the 8s, buy it as tool only, but I would say if you're using this mower with a decent sized yard, you want to use 8-amp-hour batteries, okay? There's that. Anyways, going back to this. So this has battery bank 1 and 2. It's not numbered, and it really doesn't matter which one you use, mainly because this mower operates off of 1 40-volt XGT battery. So XGT is a 40-volt max system, pretty much means it's a 36-volt mower, just like that's a 36-volt mower. So you would think they've kind of transplanted that head on here, but you know, they obviously changed it up a little bit. Just quick talks with Makita kind of said that, you know, this mower, it has the strongest, most powerful brushless lawnmower motor that they've ever built. So technically, it's stronger than that one, okay? We can talk about, you know, the power and performance of it later. But anyways, the point is, this has 1 and 2. This mower can operate off 1 battery. You want to use a minimum of a 4-amp-hour. Don't use a 2.5, but, you know, the 8 will probably get you better. But you're not going to notice a huge amount of performance in the amp hour, you're just going to notice more runtime. So when you turn it on, it figures out which one it wants to use, and then it starts using it. And then when it starts to die, the LEDs will start blinking here, whichever one is dying, and then it'll switch over. And that switch over happens automatically, but there is a downside. So one of the things I noticed was with lithium-ion batteries, as you know, that it kind of holds off strong, but then it like tapers off really fast. This one kind of has the same performance when you're using it. So when it's dying and the LED starts blinking, you'll notice a significant decrease in power and the self-propel speed. And you'll know, like without even looking at it, you know, oh my gosh, the battery's pretty much about to switch over or die. So it'll keep going for maybe a minute or two or something like that before it actually makes the switch. And that's the one thing that kind of annoys me with this mower. Sometimes I'm just cutting fast because it's hot, or, you know, walking fast with it. And the little amount of power it's able to put up with a dying battery just isn't, like, can't keep up, right? So I wish there was a way to manually switch it over so you don't have to wait, like, you know, that 1 or 2 minutes for it to happen. But it's an automatic way, and there's no way to override it. So, but it does work. And I know a lot of times if they put a manual switch in here, people are going to complain that it's not automatic. So, you know, you're going to have to pick one or both, or one or the other. I kind of wish they did both, but, you know, that's just me. So anyways, I'll throw out some clips about, you know, how you can kind of, you know, the LED patterns and stuff like that when it's dying. But that's generally how that works. Okay, like I mentioned there, you can kind of do the same thing with this. Use your arm to hold this up and then pull this battery out, right? But then pull it out, it falls. So like I said, it wouldn't kill people to just put something here to hold it up, but like I said, that's just me. All right, so on the right side of the mower, you'll start to see a lot more of the differences here. Okay, so while we have you up a little bit closer, you can kind of see the wheels, like I said, are pretty much copycat, but the tread pattern is just I want to say the tread pattern is fairly the same on the wheels, except the one on the XML08 definitely see more pronounced. If you want to talk about it, you can kind of say has full depth, right? Tread life, or whatever you want to call it. And on that one, it's kind of like molded in like one big rubbery, plasticky thing without, you know, these like sipes and stuff into it. So if I had to choose, I would say the tires on the XML08 are better, but, you know, we're just nitpicky on stuff. Okay, so moving around this side, you'll see some of the differences here. The adjustment mechanism is mainly still the same in terms of like this lever action and stuff here, but you can kind of see there on the XGT one, there seems to be a lot more plastic involved, whereas on this LXT one, this one right here is pretty much all metal. There's almost like no plastic here except for just this handle. The handle over there on the XGT mower is also plastic, but you know, the parts that are holding the setting, that one feels a lot more plastic, and this one is just pure metal. Okay, so can't complain about that. Other than that, the other big difference that you're going to see right here is on the XGT mower. You'll see there is no side discharge on that side, and there's side discharge on this side. So if you've been paying attention on this video, and you watch the other part where there's no side discharge on the other side either. So we could talk about the side discharge on here, kind of comes out the back on the XGT and spits out through the side. But on the LXT mower, you actually have to put the side discharge chute here, right, and connect it up, and then that's how it's side discharges there. On the XGT, it kind of comes out and then comes out the back and then through the side. So it's an interesting setup they have there. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I did want to point out, you know, another thing that people are gonna, you know, say is a huge improvement or disimprovement. So on this LXT mower, as you can see right here, that is a bolt. So there's a bolt and a welded nut on the other side that says, you know, this handle, or this what do you want to call this arm, is super stiff. There is no play in this arm whatsoever, mainly because it's a bolt and a nut and it's fully there. I mean, you can take it off, but it just gets a little bit annoying sometimes. But it doesn't fold technically, right? So on the XGT mower, I'll show you here in a bit, they've kind of went with the traditional design where you have these like wing nuts or wing bolts that come up, right? And then now you can fold it like a lot of the other battery powered mowers and stuff like that, right? And it's kind of got one here and one here, depending on whichever one you think fits, you know, feels better, do that. So on this mower, they kind of, you know, decided to go away with the nut and bolt pattern they have going on here, and then kind of went with those little positive stops and clips. So that is there. Also, if you're just nitpicking at stuff, the one on the XGT mower, you'll see, has the power and communication cable encased in that, what do you call it, like the plastic wire guard stuff. You know, some of the stuff you see on sometimes automotive stuff, whereas on this one, on the LXT mower, it's literally just the cable here, which is really strange because if you look on this side, right, this side has the cable encased in that plastic wire guard thing. So on the XGT mower, that one is there too, except both cables are encased. Whereas on this one, only one cable is encased. And then, as you just saw, this part falls off quite often, at least for me. The back part here, there's a lot of similarities but differences. The similarities are, it generally works the same. It looks like it's kind of designed the same, except obviously this part's flat, that part's curved. If you lift up on this one, which is the LXT one, it kind of goes up like that. If you lift up on that one, it kind of pulls up like this, right? So they're spring loaded, obviously. There's not too much that goes in on here, except you can put in like a mulch plug, which I obviously don't have in right now. That one also comes with the mulch plug, and I will tell you right now, the two are not interchangeable. You would imagine that the decks kind of being very similar and like the makers being very similar, you be interchange those parts. They are not interchangeable, okay? So other thing to point out here is you can kind of see from this angle, right where the handle is mounted on the XGT mower, you'll kind of see the deck stamp kind of comes up a little bit, rises up. On this one, it's completely flat. So if you were gonna say it's kind of stamped from the same stamping machine, it's not. Right, it's not. So just want to point that out. The other thing going in on here is that, as we mentioned, the XGT mower has a side discharge, and that's this right here. The way that this works is kind of annoying, at least for me, mainly because there's two plastic clips right here, and then there's two holes, as you can see right here. These two holes kind of clip in at the top, right, and then kind of go out like this, and the spring force from this actually holds that down. As you can imagine, if you're cutting over rough terrain, bouncing around and stuff, it's going to have a tendency to fall off. It hasn't fallen off yet, but you know, that is something they're worried about because this spring tension is not super positive, okay? The other downside to the side discharge chute is, as you can see right here, it's not completely open. So if I'm cutting off more than, I want to say, like 2 inches, maybe even 1.5 inches like that, a lot of times there's debris just clogged up right here, holding it up, and it'll eventually just stop discharging, okay? That's a problem. That's a problem mainly because, you know, you want it to discharge, you don't want it to clog up. It's happened a lot of times. So, you know, that's a problem. I kind of wish, and you could probably take a Dremel tool or road zip or whatever and just like cut this part out so that it just kind of comes out more. But other thing I noticed is that the way that they designed it is it not only shoots down, I'll throw out some clips, but it also shoots out to the side, kind of like a 45 angle like that. So even if you're walking really fast, that doesn't cause a problem. You would think that you could run into it, but it really doesn't. The only problem is sometimes with taller pieces of grass, or if you're just cutting thick grass faster, it just clogs up. But you can kind of fix that, you know, probably void a warranty, but you know, who's really gonna warranty a side discharge chute? All right, so now let's talk about another important piece, not this side discharge chute, but let's talk about the actual bag. So this bag is the bag from the LXT XML08, and the bag on this one and the XGT one is pretty much exactly the same. This part is interchangeable. As you can see, this just clips on right here, as you can see with both normal lawnmowers. 2 clips right here, kind of hangs into place on this metal bar. No problem. If you wanted me to go back here and tell you or show you on the LXT mower, right? I'll go back here, put this right here, no problem. And as we've shown you previously with the mower, this kind of tells you, you know, oh, like, hey, look, I'm full, or like, you know, I'm empty. I'm full. You just need to empty it out. So this is a little indicator. It doesn't really work. I want to say it works fine, but I've seen mowers or used other mowers where the bag, it just fills up completely packed. And I want to say maybe like the Milwaukee mower does that. It fills the bag really tight. Whereas this bag, it does a decent job catching the material in the bag, but it doesn't pack it full. That's something that I noticed. And that may also have to do with the way they've kind of designed some of the bottom parts and rotational cutting speeds and stuff like that. But I will say it doesn't pick up as well as some of the other mowers that are on the market. So this one right here is the LXT XML08, and that one right there is the XGT GML01. And a significant downgrade that they've done on the XGT mower is that this safety flap is no longer a hard rubber plastic, right, or hard rubber material. So as you can see here, this here is like this material here kind of feels like you got a pretty, you know, thin but thick rubber mat, and you cut it out, right? So it's a very flexible, it stays flexible even in, I want to say, colder temperatures, and it's pretty thick. Whereas on that piece there, they've kind of changed over to like a thin piece of plastic, almost like PVC type. It's almost like, you know, if you used air hoses and you use PVC material, you can kind of see it's even got that PVC memory right there. It's kind of coiled up. So it's just a cheap piece of like plastic, I want to say, or some type of plastic. And you know, it's not stiff. It kind of feels like they've gotten, you know, like the cheapest version possible of that material, and then somehow put some more plastic into that rubberized material. So I don't know what material it is exactly, but you know, it doesn't lay flat all the time, especially since mine, it kind of came boxed up, and it kind of came out of the box like with that memory in it. So that's a pretty annoying piece for me, because mainly because, you know, if you're paying for, you know, commercial great quality mower, that's like, you know, something that you probably don't want to skip on. But you know, because sometimes you don't want to kick back at you. Not that that's happened with this, because it's still in place, it does the job, but you know, it just kind of feels like they've cheaped out on it a little bit. So this right here is the LXT mower, and this right here is the XGT mower. The bars and controls on the bars are generally the same, right? That hasn't really changed. This one doesn't, it's full length here. This one is full length here. And on the self-propelled mechanism, they do have a cutout, as you can see from this angle. So you can kind of keep one arm here or one hand here and kind of, you know, let this go without having to maintain it. And that's the same with this. So that is a nice touch that they've left there, that's carried over. But the other stuff has still mainly remained the same, but there are minor differences, okay? So first of all, this lever right here with the turtle and rabbit obviously is self-propelled speed and how fast you want it to go. This one does have a slow ramp up. The XGT mower also has like a slow ramp up, or like a soft start if you want to call it. The speeds generally have remained the same, and they are adjustable as you are rolling. So if you are fully engaged, you can adjust the speed as you are going, and it works wonderfully. It's not one of those mowers where you have to let everything go, adjust it, and then bring it back, okay? Because those are annoying. But this one is, you can adjust it on the fly, okay? This little icon right here means it's in what they call eco mode or quiet mode. So with this mower, when it starts up and it operates at a low speed. And then when it runs into thicker material, it will ramp up to maximum speed, okay? But if you engage this, you know, let's just turn this thing on here, assuming I change the battery component to the right side. So turn this thing on. If I put this thing on, when it runs a thicker material, it'll just stay at that low speed, and you'll just get, you know, a poor quality cut unless you just cut slower. So there's that. This button right here obviously gives you the battery indicator, which is a little bit strange, I imagine, because with the battery fuel gauge on the batteries, they actually feel like 4 bars, but on this one, it gives you 3 bars, okay? So that's how that really works. If you turn this off, it kind of says I'm on automatic mode, which means at a low speed, and then when it hits thicker material, it ramps up. On this one, the XGT mower, there are pretty good differences there, and I do like these differences, okay? First of all, it has the same icon right here, as you can see, or I'm not sure if you can see with this glare, but there's a person here that kind of looks like they're saying shh, right? So if you hit this button once, it will go to what they call automatic mode. And you hit the button twice, it kind of goes to quiet mode. So with the quiet mode, it goes into low speed, and then when it runs in thicker material, it just stays low speed or low blade speed no matter what. It doesn't ramp up, because that's what kind of generates a lot of the noise, okay? So that's quiet mode. I can turn all of these mode off, which just means high speed mode, which means the blades are spinning in high speed mode all the time, regardless of what's happening. And that feature is really, really nice, mainly because on this mower, on the LXT mower, there's no way to be in high speed mode. So there is low speed mode and automatic mode, but there is no high speed mode. okay? So with this one, by going here, automatic mode, you are now in automatic mode where it's in low speed, and when it runs into thicker material, it ramps up. So there's that. So you got a way to go from low speed to high speed automatically. You got a way to stay in low speed, and then you got a way with none of the lights on to stay in high speed. On this one, you have automatic mode, low speed to high speed, low speed only, but there's no way to stay in high speed. A lot of times people are gonna ask, why is that important, okay? For some times, especially around fall time when you are cutting fast, you wanna pick up leaves and stuff like that, you wanna be in high speed mode because that what helps you create some of the lift. Yes, you got to get the high lift blades and all that kind of fun stuff, but high speed mode sometimes is required because you just want to cut fast, cut through thicker stuff fast, or you just want to pick up stuff like grass clippings, leaves, whatever. So that's nice. So that is a huge improvement over this. But on this side, everything else has generally remained the same except for like those controls here. The way that you start the mower is you hold this button and then you pull back this red lever, or to start the blades, let's say. Because obviously the way to start the mower is you just press this button here, and then once these lights are on, you have the mower is on. So for here, I'm gonna put this here, I'm gonna hit this button here, and as I, this light is on, it means the mower is on. Okay, and it will move. So if I do this, right, you can see it kind of moved there a little bit. Here, I'll do it again. See, there is that soft start, and with this one, right? So obviously the mower, the soft start, sees a little bit different or feels different. You kind of get used to it really quick, but it is a soft start. It's not like bam, whoosh, and it just jumps on you. You can pull. It's a little bit more difficult to pull wheelie with this one, let's just say, okay? So the way to power up the blades is the same. You hold this red button, and it's on both, red button there, and you pull this red lever back. So watch this, here we go. I'm gonna put this in quiet mode, right? So here we go. Okay, I'm gonna put this one in quiet mode, quiet mode. Okay, so I'm gonna take this one off of quiet mode. It's the same, but I'm gonna take this one off of quiet mode. All right, so let me show you what quiet mode is. You can kind of hear that difference in speed, right? So put this on to automatic mode. Right, so automatic mode, it will kick up, like I said, in the high speed once it starts to feel some of that resistance. All right, so that's pretty much a close-up look at these mowers, okay? There are some differences, some similarities and stuff like that. A lot of people assume, oh, they just pretty much made the same mower, but made it on the XGT platform. They kind of did, but they also kind of didn't, right? So whatever differences you need or you want, that's gonna be up to you. I'm gonna tell you right now, Makita did not send us this mower. Makita probably doesn't even know we exist, except for maybe some support tickets and email communication that we've had previously, but they did not send us this. It's not sponsored. We're not affiliated with Makita in any way. We just use a lot of their tools, okay? Like I said, have no connection to those people. So going back to some of the review of actually using the mower, okay? So we've had this mower for, I wanna say, a couple weeks. I want to say maybe like 6 weeks or so, and we've gotten at least one cut in every week, okay? And one of the cuts, it actually started raining, and that's kind of why some of the grass is stuck to this one. So I know a lot of people say, oh, you don't use battery power mowers in the rain. Yeah, hello, that's kind of impossible, okay? Especially in your commercial setting, not that we're commercial mowing, but if you're in a commercial setting, there's no way you can not mow sometimes when it's damp or wet, So any people or anybody who's saying, oh, water damage to the Milwaukee mower, to the video that we posted up earlier, I'm just gonna say, some people are just fans no matter what. I'm just gonna say that, okay? So these mowers you can use kind of wet. I will go ahead and tell you right now, from experience, when the mowers are wet or when the grass is wet, the grass is obviously going to be more sticky. So it is going to stick on the side discharge chute. So if you're using the side discharge when the grass is wet, pretty much it's going to clog up all the time with this mower. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. There's that. So if you're mulching, it's going to be a lot more difficult, but there's that too. So now let's talk about the general review of this mower, right? So this, I would say, is a great mower. Just like I said, the XML08 is pretty much a rock solid mower. There's really no issues with the mower, at least in my opinion. Would it be nice if they had higher blade speed, more power, can roll faster? Yeah, but you could say that about pretty much any tool. With this mower, would it kill it if it had more blade speed, self-propelled function, or cut more on a single charge? No, it wouldn't kill any. I don't think anybody would disagree. You could take the best mower and you could say that about anything, okay? So what I will go ahead and say is they've messed, I would say, they could have made a lot more improvements on this mower from the XML08 mower or the LXT mower. And some of those improvements they did, especially with the controls and stuff up here. But some of the other things I would say is kind of a little bit of a downgrade, right? So one of the things right here, like I said, is the plasticky parts right here with the lever change, cut height adjustment mechanism. One of the improvements I would say is probably going to be this wing bolt that kind of allows you to fold this thing up and down. Obviously that's going to be good because who doesn't want that? For me, I just roll it right in to the garage. Not a problem. I don't store it upright or anything like that. The other thing here is this battery mechanism compartment thing. It would be nice if they somehow held it up or had it like clip into place. But other than that, the other downside with this mower is really this side. The biggest thing I would say I dislike about this mower is the side discharge, the rear side discharge, okay? You could probably cut that away and make that problem go away, but I just didn't do that. And eventually, if it annoys me enough, I'll probably do that, okay? But for now, I just kind of left it as is because it's not annoying enough. The other thing I would say is this flap, you know, it doesn't really cause a problem, but just looking at it and it kind of like being bent like that, that's just an annoying thing for me, okay? I just have nitpicky things. But other than that, they're both rock solid. This mower is rock solid, that mower is rock solid. Obviously, I've had that mower for, you know, a few years, many years, and it works just fine. Cuts in the rain, cleans up nice, just fine. The biggest downsides, I would say, to these Makita mowers are that they mainly use the Makita blades, and those Makita blades are way more expensive than all the other blades, and you kind of have to use the Makita blade mainly because on these Makita blades, they're kind of tilted a little bit forward, a little bit, like barely forward. Most people probably can't tell, so that it doesn't do a double cut. So if it does a double cut, obviously, you know, you're going to have decreased blade life, or battery life. So they kind of tilted just a hair forward so that it gets a single cut, pretty much like that. So if you want to maintain the Makita, I don't know, I want to say runtime, battery life type deal, then you probably want to stick with the Makita blade. But a lot of times the Makita blade I'm going to go and say it's not necessarily the best. It doesn't have a high lift function. A lot of people think that it does kind of have that wing thing, and maybe it does, right? But it doesn't have the aggressive mulching action or any of that. So for me, I would say you can kind of sharpen that blade and continue to get a lot of life out of it. But if you want to get some type of like really heavy mulching blade, you can put it on here. There's a universal blade. I forgot, I think it's like Max Power or something like that, that we tried that seems to fit. But what I've noticed is that it's not too much of a difference. So maybe that's a plus for the Makita blade, right? It does everything well, but it's, you know, there's that. So, but the point is, the Makita blades are expensive, and if you want to stick with all the other Makita stuff, it's not going to be cheap, right? So other than that, both of these mowers are great. I'm just literally rambling on at this point. So if you want to buy the mower, I would say buy the mower. With that being said, I would say this mower is really expensive. With, I want to say, the two 4-amp-hour batteries, I think you got it for like $6.99, and then with the two 8-amp-hour batteries, it will be $9.99, or at least last time I checked, it's about $1,000. Okay, so let's talk about that. For $1,000, that's really expensive for a mower. You could get a pretty good Honda or a gas-powered Husky, whatever mower for, let's just say, $500-600, okay? But now we're paying a premium for these battery-powered mowers, and you would think that, you know, they're going to be that much better. But is it really worth 2 times the cost? That's really only for you to answer, because it's coming out of your pocket, okay? So if you look at the $1,000 price range, there's only a few battery-powered mowers in that price range. The other one mainly being the Milwaukee. DeWalt has, you know, some, but they're like $600, $700, depending on which model you get. But the Milwaukee one, they make one M18 mower that takes two M18 batteries, which is pretty much, last time I checked, I think it was like $10.99, which is like $1,100, right? I think at one point during COVID or something like that, it went up like $1,200 or something ridiculous. But the point is that that's probably the only other battery-powered mower that is more expensive than this, okay? So let's talk about, you know, some of the details of that. On the Milwaukee mower, you get two 12-amp-hour batteries, whereas on this one, for $1,000, you would get two 8-amp-hour batteries. So because you're only using one battery at a time, that's really 16 amp hours total that you're going to be cutting with this mower, okay? So with the Milwaukee mower, or it takes two batteries in series to make it 36, so it's a 12-amp-hour battery, or 12-amp-hour, you know, capacity that you get with that. So 12-amp-hour capacity versus a 16-amp-hour capacity. it really doesn't matter too much. I'm gonna go out and say this mainly because most people that are gonna be buying this mower, that mower, DeWalt mower, whatever, are going to have those batteries already, okay? So for myself, I have a ton of XGT batteries, I have a ton of LXT batteries, so there's that, okay? But the main difference here is mainly, you know, a couple $100 worth of cost. The LXT mower, a couple times I've seen on clearance for $399, and that comes with 4 batteries. So right now, if you're going to ask me which mower would you want to get out of these two or the Milwaukee one, I would probably say probably that one, mainly because the XML08, if you can get it between $400 to $600, that is probably the mower to get, assuming you can live with not being able to fold the thing up and then, you know, hold it up. That's it, right? So that would be my first guess. This one would be my second, and the Milwaukee one would be my third, mainly because I just had reliability issues with that. All the Milwaukee people are gonna jump in and say, oh, you're not using it right, you got charged back. What, it really doesn't matter, okay? I really don't care. You know, you're not gonna go wrong with any of these mowers, just personal preference. So I'll stop rambling. Hope you guys out. Otherwise, have a great day, and we'll see you guys next time.